Hello, I'm Amanda McNulty with Making It Grow and Clemson Extension, and I'm so excited today. I'm speaking with Allison Jones, and Allison is an educational coordinator with the South Carolina Botanical Garden, and she has been gracious enough to once come all the way to Sumter to be on our show, and today we're doing something in the new way of doing things during this unusual time that we're all finding ourselves in. Allison, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful backyard with us too.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad to be with you.
Um, you love to do hands-on activity with children, and I think today you're going to tell us about one that would be particularly appropriate for this time of year.
That's right. I wanted to share with your viewers how to make egg dye, but not just any egg dye, making egg dye out of natural ingredients. So in particular, what I plan to show you all how to do is how to make egg dye out of cabbage, purple cabbage, and yellow onion skins. And there are other options out there, but those ones I have done year after year, and they always work well for us.
You don't just dye the egg, though. You have kind of bring in the botanical aspect, I think, in some ways, and that really sounds fun. Explain how you use things that you find in nature on the eggs.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's the other aspect of it, is not just decorating them with dye, but applying essentially a botanical silhouette to them using things that you find outside, so leaves or flowers. And when you're looking for these materials, you want small scale things. So really what works best usually are leaves or flowers of little common weeds that most people can find in their lawn. I really like using clover leaves. They make a nice clean silhouette on there. You can use the little common violets. Sometimes they will add another hue on top of instead of a silhouette, you might get a little bit of a blue color, added to it. So anything that you find and you think is a pretty shape and would look nice on there, you can do that.
Well, it really sounds fun, but so tell us, you make, how you're going to make the dyes, because I guess that's what we need to do.
Yeah, so the first step is making your dye bath, okay? So you need a stainless steel pot. You need it to be maybe 2 to 3 quarts in size, so you'll have plenty of room to work in. And you start by adding your dye agents. If you're using the cabbage, you want to cut it up, just chop it up. It doesn't have to be finely chopped, just coarsely chopped. And you're going to put that or your onion skins down into your pot. If you're using onion skins, you're going to need about 10 onions worth if you're making a big batch, but just use what you have to get the batch you can get. And then you're going to cover the dye stuffs, the dye agents, with water and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And that's going to help break up the eggshell, help it to absorb the dye.
And excuse me, if you don't have white vinegar and you just have cider vinegar, I don't think that would ruin the process, would it?
I don't think so either. More than likely that acidity would still work the same way. If it gives a little bit of different of a color, then I think that's okay. That's part of the fun. It's an experiment to some degree, right? So once you have those ingredients in there, you'll bring that pot to a boil. And then once it comes to a boil, you'll turn it down and let it simmer about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And once you're at that point, you can choose, there are about 3 different methods that you can choose from to make your eggs. Now, when you asked about decorating the eggs, so now that you have dye, it's being prepared, right?
Yes.
And focus on decorating your eggs. And so you're going to gather those leaves that I mentioned earlier, and you'll have your eggs. You apply those leaves, whether you're working with boiled eggs or with raw eggs, and we'll get into that in a minute. You apply those leaves with a damp finger. So I like to have like a little bowl of water nearby that I can put my fingertips in, and then I'll rub the surface of the egg a bit, and then I will apply the leaf face down. And that water helps it kind of create a seal, stick on. And then you can take, what we do is take old, it doesn't have to be old or new, pantyhose, and we cut them into strips. So about 2 inches wide works. You'll cut the leg into a strip, cut the end of it so you get a nice open strip. And then you can take that, you're gonna hold your egg. Sometimes you need a friend to help you.
Yes.
Dad can hold the egg or have the child hold the egg while they tie that section of pantyhose around the egg and secure the botanical on.
So you want you put the strip face down on top first, like the middle of the strip would go right on top of maybe the little clover leaf. And
That's
then
right.
you would reach around the back and secure it, pull it tight, not too tight, you don't want to break the egg, but tight enough to hold it. And okay, and then
Perfect. Yeah.
and then you're set to move to the next step.
That's right. That's right. So at that step, like I said, you have options. So now it's ready to go in the dye bath. If you are using boiled eggs, you can put them in the dye bath and you can actually start it to heat it up again a little bit if you like, because heating it up is going to achieve the darkest colors. So you also, though, can take a raw egg and put it in the dye bath and not just heat it up a little bit, but bring it back up to a boil and boil your egg in the dye bath.
Wow.
And that gives you a dark, rich color. However, if you want to have eggs that you can keep indefinitely, that you can keep as kind of a memento, and you may only choose to do this with a few of them, but to do that, you're going to use a raw egg. So in that process of adding the leaves, you would have done it with a raw egg. And then you will use cooled dye. And you will lower that egg into the dye bath, submerge it completely, and you're going to have to wait longer for those results. But that's what allows you to blow it out later and keep it indefinitely. So you can keep kids enjoy, if you're doing that process with kids, they like being able to, lift it up every so often and see what color it is.
I always have trouble blowing eggs. My eggs I just don't have any success with it. But you said you figured out how to do it pretty good.
Yeah, so the traditional way of blowing an egg out is you need, what works best really is like a push pin, a straight pin. And
just like if you were hemming a
yes,
skirt,
if you were pinning the hem before you so a straight pin, and you can take that. You have to practice. So don't try it on a beautiful egg that you're so attached to. Okay? Okay. Do it with a raw egg first and just see how it goes. But you are going to create one hole on the bottom of the egg, the broader portion of the egg. You'll start with that. And you just slowly apply pressure until you get the needle to break through. And then you kind of start to move it around. You can feel that what you're doing is breaking up the yolk and the membrane in there. Mm-hmm. And you're going to just really break that up, okay? You also need to create a hole on the other end. The hole that goes on what I consider the top end of the egg, the narrow portion of the egg, you're going to want to make that one a little bit smaller because it's going to be the more visible, but you want it big enough that that the egg can come through. You like I said, you want to practice that and see what's going to happen. But the main thing is break up all the insides. Once you feel like you've done that with your straight pin or even a safety pin to use, whatever you have that you can make use of, okay? You're going to stir it all up, kind of scramble it in there, and then you can even shake it. Now, be warned, stuff will come out. It's a little messy, okay? But you can kind of shake it. Now, the traditional way, like I said, is to then use your mouth to blow the contents of the egg out. So you would kind of wipe off the surface and then create a seal with your mouth on the larger hole on the bottom of the egg. Strike it, reverse it. On the top of the egg, you would blow and then blow out of the larger hole in the bottom. This can be hard to do without breaking an egg, and it also can make you dizzy. You're really having to work hard to control your breath. So the trick that I use is if you just happen to have or can get hold of a baby aspirator, so the little bulbs that we use on babies' noses and mouths, then you can use one of those you put it right over that top small hole and make a seal, and then give it a push. You just be careful not to then, you want to remove it when you let go because you don't want to suck egg into your aspirator. Also, obviously, you're not going to use the aspirator again after you use it for eggs, probably.
You'll have to have two, one for the children and one for
That's
Easter.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. If you're like me, you just have them laying around and you're like, why am I still holding on to this? I've not needed this for my child for a while. Oh, I have a good use for it.
I think a lot of us are going to find that we've got things that we were holding on to that we might bring out and find a use for, maybe even
That's
a
right.
sewing machine or all kinds of things that have been gathering dust, other things besides baby nasal aspirators. Well, isn't it nice to think that we could go out and maybe look at some common weeds and find a different way to look at them instead of thinking, oh, I've got to use herbicide and get everything under control. And maybe even a little, I guess if you even had a little house plant maybe that was a fern or something, you could
Absolutely.
take a little bit of those, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, really, it kind of opens your eyes up to looking for these little diminutive, pretty shapes in just about any plant, right? There's potential there. So you're right. That's a smart idea too, because some folks, they may not have as many plants outside to choose from. So looking inside's a good idea too.
Well, Allison Jones, you are so kind. I'm going to share with our viewers that you've got two small children at home, and you are using your 2 free hours when they're taking a nap to help us learn how to do a wonderful project for Easter eggs. And I want to thank you so very much. And thank you for all the beautiful joy that the South Carolina Botanical Garden brings to people across the state of South Carolina.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate the invitation. And thank you guys for all the fun stuff you're bringing to folks at home as well.
All right. Well, I hope you get a little bit of time to fold the clothes before the children wake up.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.